I was saying in the event description that I don't know about you guys, but I really like a good, how you met story. And so we were going to briefly share ours, and then we'll let you start.
Well, where do we start? We met, we're almost at the 1.5 year mark, September of 2018. This beautiful blonde lady swiped left on the Bumble app, which was awesome. 12 hours later of conversation back and forth and texting, we decided we were going to meet, met the next day, and the rest is kind of history. And it was great. We were able to kind of feel each other out, realize that our heads were in a very similar space. We both own our own businesses, both very driven, both prioritize our careers and our self-development and self-improvement and so forth. So it seemed like it was a very good fit. And here we are, just shy of 1.5 years later.
Yes. So, Bumble. I had just gotten back from Europe. I had been single for over 3 years. You guys, completely single for 3 years, working on myself. And I got back from a trip to Europe where I did a lot of work and said, you know what, it's time. I'm ready. I've embodied the self-love that I need to attract the love that I want and be able to give the love that I want to give as well. And he was the first person that popped up on Bumble, and he's the first person I talked to. He's the first person I went out with, and oh, thank goodness, because I was not looking forward to experimenting, and you have lots of experience with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. If any of you guys have dating, online dating stories, horror ones or good ones, we'd love to hear about them too.
Definitely.
But here's where, it's not exactly that's history, right? Because for me, I had never dated a vegan up until now. So I didn't know when I got back in the dating scene. I didn't know if, it was going to be work for me to have an expectation of meeting a vegan that I could also build a life with. I'm a pretty complicated person because I'm vegan, but I like so much mainstream stuff too. I like going and watching football on Sundays. I like having a beer. I like MMA. I share a lot of these things that not the typical traditional vegan, though everything is changing now with game changers and athletes and all that good stuff. But I didn't know. And when we started dating, I started realizing I really liked him. And I started imagining our future, what that could look like, and what it would mean to live together, what it would mean to grow old together. And it just hit me. It hit me like a ton of bricks that I can't do it anymore. I can't open a refrigerator and have a dead animal in there. And I knew that, it was a really hard realization. At the same time, it became very clear to me. So I wanted to nip it in the bud because I didn't want to start, getting into a relationship and then having to break up. So, I don't know, how long was it?
6 weeks in.
6 weeks in. I made this, and it was just a really tough conversation. And we sat down, and I'm like, look, this is what I've discovered. And I said, and you certainly can't, I'm certainly not expecting you to change, right? This is my thing. This is what I care about. This is my passion. Yes. And so you certainly can't make changes for me. And so I was like, I just don't think it's going to work. And what happened from your thought process, and where did you go with that?
So my thought process was this, as Ella mentioned, referenced, the dating game, dating scene, or whatever you want to call it, can be a little bit rough, and you realize that there's not a whole lot of good, solid people out there necessarily, or just people that fit kind of your checklist, so to speak. So when I found a good one that the majority of the boxes fit, except for a couple items, and one of them being the fact that she's vegan, and when we met, I was not, and I had to kind of evaluate, okay, weigh the options, and like Ella said, what I tell people now in retrospect is that I didn't go vegan for Ella, I did it because of her. Now, I had had some health issues back in 2014. I had a really aggressive case of melanoma, which is where I got this. It's fading now, but I got this pretty cool scar, about 6 inches long, around my neckline.
I think it's hot.
And thank you, baby. But you know, it was very serious, and I lost a family member to the disease, as did Ella. So it was something that I took very, very seriously. As you can tell, we live in Miami, but we stay very, very pale because the sun is very, very dangerous here. My biggest fear really was getting cut short and not having enough years on this earth. You know, and that was a very, very big concern of mine. And just out of chance, when Elle and I kind of had that difficult conversation that you referenced, I said, you know, let me just see if you know, if vegan diet or plant-based diets or what effects, if any research had been done with regard to that. And what I found was absolutely astounding. So what I had found was the stage that I had, and they did 5-year studies of people that did adopt a plant-based diet, and this came from melanoma.org. There was a 100% survival rate for 5 years, and typically with any sort of anyone treating any form of cancer, 5 years is the most critical point. Usually they say there's a good chance that you're out of the woods if you can make the 5-year mark without any sort of remission or recurrence and so forth of the disease. So when I read that, I didn't need to know anything else, So that was beginning of November 2018, and I decided, I said, okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. I said, I had a cross-country trip. I had a cross-country trip coming up, and it was over Thanksgiving weekend and the week after. I said, if I can cut out meat out of my diet entirely while doing it on a cross-country trip, I think I can do it anywhere. So if I can be in I don't know, South Dakota and find suitable alternatives, then I think I can do it anywhere. And that's what I wound up doing. I wound up the day after Thanksgiving, I had my last Thanksgiving dinner and went on the road and drove for 2,500 miles from one side of the country to the other, and figured it out. And it was kind of a crash course, but it's like that old saying, if you can do it here, you can do it anywhere. I did. And towards the end, I said, well, this is really interesting. And I remember I would call Ella with kind of daily updates. Well, okay, this came across this challenge or that or whatever. I did this. Oh, I feel real good. Or, wow, I'm usually tired this time of day, but today I'm not. And, so that was the kind of the thought process and the decision that I made and kind of how I did it also.
Yes. So he came back and said, look, I'm paraphrasing, but he found his why, right? He found his why. Mm-hmm. Because for me, the base is the animals. For him, the base is the health. We share so many values. We want to make the world a better place. We work really hard, and we are independent, and we just share so many values. And so we went with it. And it's been fun because I get he's got me now. That's I don't do a lot of cooking. I know I have a cookbook out, but I don't have to do a lot of cooking.
She's a great cook. She just doesn't do it a lot.
And I do quick stuff.
Yeah.
I don't do any following the recipes, and so whenever I help you guys out with recipes, it's gonna be quick and easy. Just know that, but delicious. I mean,
really good. Yeah.
He's a burger person, was and is still, but now it's vegan burgers. You're a pizza person and still are, and now it's vegan pizza, sure. And it's no problem. Lindsay said you guys are so cute. Bridget said, so what is unique about how you met? You can watch the playback, Bridget. And she said, thank you, Ella, for putting amazing vegan energy into society. Thank you so much. So that's kind of the deal. He needed to find his why. So when we're talking about, if you're talking about dating or kind of connecting with somebody and starting the process of saying, okay, is this something that they might want to do? Is it something that I could help them figure out how to do, and if they want to do it? Finding that why for that person, because how many whys are there? How many reasons are there to be vegan? I mean, it's endless. There's There's way more reasons to be vegan than not, right? Let's face it. But somebody has to be open to it and ready to kind of explore that possibility. So in terms of tips, and that's what we want to get to for you guys. And Jerry, hey Jerry, said my hubs has started eating plant-based on his own, even while I'm traveling and not home. Go girl! She's been with us for a long time too. How long did that process take, Jerry? I'd love to know. Kind of. Your husband's name. Did you hear that, Siri?
Siri's thought Jerry's Siri.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's what happened. Okay. And she said, and he's a meat guy, but we have tried so many different things that he now enjoys. Yeah, I mean, this is the time, you guys. Back in the day when we had nothing, no good burgers, no good cheese. This is the time to help somebody go vegan because it is not that hard. I mean, really, if you think about it. I mean, yeah, I mean,
10 years ago or so.
Exactly,
yeah.
In comparison. So, in terms of tips, helping somebody find their why, focusing on yourself and your growth. And I always think about, Mahatma Gandhi's famous quote, be the change you want to see in the world, right? You want to work on becoming the change you want to see in your life, in your home, in your family, in your relationship. If you become that change and you're able to, this new energy kind of radiates outwards when you're able to accomplish that and be strong in it, be confident in it, do it for you, and these people in your life start to see what that means for you, to you, that's going to be the number one way to influence people, is to be the change, be that person, and allow people to soak that energy in. Right? Without the pressure. The pressure is not going to work. Now, could this take some time? Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's going to be up to you to say, okay, how long, am I willing to be patient? And a lot of times when we become vegan, and I, became vegan when I was 15, so this is not quite the same for me, but a little bit, even at 15. A lot of times people get very angry, and there's a lot of emotion involved. And tell me if this is true for any of you guys, that you feel lied to. You feel like there's been this information and out there and it hasn't been shared. It's almost been hidden from you. And information that can save your life, that can save the lives of animals when you're an animal lover, that's, and seeing the treatment of the animals and discovering that that's the case and you've been contributing to that unknowingly, thinking that, a cow is hanging out in the pasture its whole life, happy-go-lucky, getting milked by the farmer, every morning. It's emotional, and it can be very easy to become that, what do they call it? The angry vegan. And it takes a lot of work on yourself to not be that angry person and to not be angry at other people who haven't gotten to where you are now. And to put yourself in their shoes because you were in their shoes at one point, right? So keeping that in mind, again, that's all work on yourself. This is all about working on yourself. And then it's going to be about creating boundaries, right? What are you willing to accept? What are you willing to compromise on in terms of your relationship? Are you willing to still cook for your significant other who says, I don't want anything to do with being vegan? Are you still willing to cook meat? And this is all a personal choice, but it's a choice, and it's a choice that we can make a lot easier when we've gotten to a place of comfort and love for ourselves and our decisions, not being apologetic. A lot of times women are worried about inconveniencing other people, when you go out to eat. Is that something that you were worried about, me inconveniencing you? I've never asked you that at the very beginning, because before you even became vegan, that wasn't a concern. Yeah, so some it's not, some it is, some it's not. Stephanie's here with us. Hey, Stephanie. So those are going to be things, and none of this is right or wrong. It's really about discovering for yourself what your limits are, setting the boundaries, and that all, again, has to come from you being the change. So that's kind of the theme that I'm gonna put out there for this being the change. And how would you describe now? Oh, and not only, sorry, I'm gonna call you out a little bit. Not only was he not vegan, he thought he was eating healthy because he had a trainer telling him to eat crap that, okay, turkey burgers over regular burgers, right?
Yeah.
But I opened the refrigerator and there was seltzer water with aspartame in it. Do you remember that?
Of course.
It was like, I was horrified, you guys.
It's a great mixer.
Yeah. He didn't know. And because I'm in this world and because a lot of you have been studying and researching and being around a community of people who get it, we sometimes forget that there is still a large number of people out there that don't know.
Yeah.
So now what we got, look what he decided to drink. So now we've got Xavier in there for his soda instead of Diet Coke. And we just made a lot of
simple
switches.
Adjustments. Yeah, adjustments, yeah.
Yeah, it's their big shift in terms of the ingredients of these things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to put just healthy nutrients in your body. And I just felt the need to help you do that from a health standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he thought because this trainer was giving him a meal plan, thinking that was healthy. I'm like, no, let's get you some green juice. we'll get some Beyond Burgers. Don't worry.
She nipped that in the bud too.
Oh my! What?
No, the aspartame. The first time I came over, we made cocktails, and I was like, "Hey, you want some of this club soda?" She's like, "What's in it?" Oh no. Sorry.
My jaw dropped, and again, I hadn't dated in 3 years, so
horrible for you.
I bet now, because it's been a while. I wonder it'd be an experiment to get that same thing and see if you actually still like it.
Yeah, my taste buds have definitely changed for sure.
And that is what happens. Yeah. So Jerry says, he's a meat guy. Yeah, I read that one. I thought we had a new one. Oh, it's happened over time. His name is Tom. Well, Tom, good for you. And good for you, Jerry, for doing your thing and giving him the space, ultimately the space to figure it out. And I'm sure that's brought you guys close together, if I can make an assumption there. So anything else you'd like to add to this conversation? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, a little bit. I even asked her for talking points.
I did the talking points, but if anything came up on it. Yeah.
Man, maybe this is for the guys out there for whose wives, girlfriends, significant others are listening. It's absolutely worth trying it out for more reason than one. If any of you watched the Game Changers, there's a whole bunch of health reasons, including cardiovascular health, sexual health, all these different reasons.
Oh yeah. Yeah, segue to that.
Well,
we're open here.
Yeah. So it's absolutely helpful for those guys out there. That in terms of sexual health, it's
He's labeled it the vegan boner. Okay.
Yeah. So, I know how graphic we're getting.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my group. I can do what I want.
Cool.
The vegan boner, Stephanie will love that too. But it's funny because when we first started dating, his friends, holy shit.
Oh my God, yeah. So there's this weird thing, right? That guys, I guess society or whomever, especially guys, they equate manliness to eating meat. But actually the opposite is true, because when I switched over, I noticed a marked difference in bedroom performance and so forth. That was just like, whoa, oh dear, now it's kind of a nuisance to Miss Ella.
I'll take it. But.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, a friend of mine checked in with me yesterday, and we were talking, and he had told me that he stopped eating meat and doesn't eat much dairy and that sort of thing. I was like, so what about that vegan boner? He's like, I was like, exactly, man. So it's not just anecdotal, it's not just theoretical, it wasn't just a cute little segment of a movie. Guys, if you're listening, yeah, your lady will like it, I promise.
I am so glad you brought that up. I can't believe I didn't put that on a talking point.
Yeah.
That was messed up. That was messed up on my part.
Yeah.
And because that is, you've influenced, I mean, quite a number of people, and it's always more than you know, right?
I don't know. Yeah.
It's always more than you know, but your friends are not.
Yeah. When guys ask me, you know, people that I know, acquaintances, you know, might be a significant other of someone that Ella knows, say, hey man, what was that transition like? I'm like, you ready? Pull up a chair. Let me tell you, because yeah, it's been awesome, really awesome. Yeah, it literally like it turns back the clock a bunch of years. Yeah,
It's absolutely true. Yeah, I've got a teenager in my hands now.
Lucky you.
Lucky me. Oh gosh, Dawn joined us too.
Hey Dawn.
She said, hi, lovebirds.
Hey.
I love you. I love you, Dawn. So I think we'll end on a really positive note there. And so they, you know, if that might be some information your significant other might be open to listening to. Because, yeah, manhood thing. All right, so that's gonna wrap us up today. Again, I'm gonna post the link to check out the program info for you. I will be having a brand new masterclass coming out next month, which is, I think, no, I'm not even gonna say anything about it. But let me just say what Maggie said. When I tell them about the health reasons, they don't seem to really care. They say it affects the environment. They say that's not true. Well, you know, sometimes, Maggie, people aren't ready. And for me, asking people to do me one favor and watch this one documentary to get started, because it's one thing coming from you, you know, like people get defensive. They're like, oh, you think you're better than me, you don't know what you're talking about. It's another thing seeing it come from a James Cameron movie, right? And for guys, Game Changers.
It's a great movie. Yeah. It's light, but it also talks about the health implications and that sort of thing. And it's from people that are in mainstream society. Arnold's in there, James Cameron, you know, so there's some familiar faces don't take it from me. Listen to these people.
Yeah.
So
Maggie, that would be my best advice for you, is to do your best to ask them to do your favor and just be open and to watch this one documentary. And if they can't do that, they're not ready. They're not ready to make a change, and you just have to let them be until they're ready. And with all the mainstream, we're at the tipping point. This is going to be everywhere very, very soon. And they're not going to be able to ignore it anymore. All right. So I will put the link there for the program page for you guys to check it out. Again, we take you through this. I can't even describe. You'll have to watch the testimonial videos, because we've got Lindsay here, who is now a mentor in our program. Stephanie is our head mindset coach. Dawn has been through the program, and you don't know what you don't know. I'll just say it like that. You don't know what you don't know, and it's exciting stuff. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful Valentine's Day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.